Hi, my name is Danielle Holmes, and I'm the broker and owner of Keyrenter St. Charles Property Management. Do you own a rental property in Missouri? Are you self-managing that property? If so, this video is for you. Today I'm breaking down some important aspects of the Missouri Landlord Tenant Law so you can make sure that you are in full compliance. So first, let's talk about the landlord neglecting repairs. Did you know that in our state, the tenant has the right to withhold up to half a month's rent if the landlord neglects the rental property? It's true. If the landlord isn't making proper repairs of code violations, the tenant can give the landlord 14 days notice. And if the landlord still doesn't make the repairs, then the tenant can either withhold $300 or half a month's rent, whichever is more. But what you need to know as a landlord is that there is quite a bit of criteria that has to be met before the tenant can legally do this. The tenant has to have lived in the property for at least 6 consecutive months. They must have paid all the rent owed, and they can't be in violation of any terms of the lease. And they also have to provide written notice to the landlord and their plan to fix the situation. And then the tenant has to allow at least 14 days for the landlord to respond to the notice. And it can't just be like any kind of repair. It has to affect the sanitation, security, or habitability of the property and violate the city code. So to help this, your lease should always state what type of repairs the tenants are responsible for and which repairs are the responsibility of the landlord. Most municipalities in St. Charles County and St. Louis County require an occupancy inspection before the tenant can move in. So you want to make sure that it does pass before you let the tenant move in. Another big one to talk about is security deposit law. In Missouri, the landlord cannot charge more than 2 months' rent as a security deposit. Once the lease is ended, the landlord has 30 days to return the deposit to the tenant along with a list of damages and itemization for anything that was withheld. So when you conduct the move-out inspection, the landlord has to notify the tenant of the day and time that they plan to conduct the move-out inspection, and it has to be done during a reasonable time. Security deposit, it can only be withheld for 3 things: the damages that exceed normal wear and tear, unpaid rent, or rent lost due to the tenant moving out without enough notice. The deposit cannot be used to pay the last month's rent. If the landlord wrongfully withholds a portion of the security deposit, the tenant may sue them to recover up to twice the amount of what was wrongfully withheld. So there are 2 things you can do to help security deposit problems. Again, making sure that your lease outlines tenant responsibility versus landlord responsibility, and make sure to complete a thorough condition report of the home before the tenant moves in, and another one when they move out. You need to document everything. Take a ton of photos, take videos, document every square inch at move in and move out. The third is just to make sure that you understand eviction law. The tenant can only be evicted with a court order. They'll get a notice that an eviction lawsuit has been filed, and then they'll be given an opportunity to come to court to defend their case before the eviction would be finalized. In Missouri, tenants can be evicted for not paying rent, property damage, violating terms of the lease, injuring the landlord or another occupant, drug-related activity on the property, gambling illegally at the property, not vacating at the end of the lease, and allowing someone to live in the home that the landlord had previously excluded. If you're self-managing your rental property, you need to understand these important tenant-landlord laws. You can find more information on the Missouri Attorney General's website. I'm not an attorney, and this is not legal advice. I hope this information helps you as a landlord. As always, call us if you have any questions at all. 636-707-2000.